No, please give that back. Little Luna pleaded with a soft, supplicated please. As she was trying to reach for her only toy she was given by her guard for her birthday. The boys in the playground always loved to bully her and were not stopping. Look at her. Her face is so pathetic when she cries. The boys are on boomed toward his friend who were laughing at her as he was hanging her doll upside down on the monkey bar to taunt her. She was way too short to even reach half of the distance and she could not climb the monkey bar at all. Much of her dismay, just please give it to me, Uncle Lee, give it to me as a present, please. She so profoundly mortified by what going on, as she was very used to playing with the only possession she had. And to make matter even worse, no adult was present around the scene or in the park or even help her. You mean that stupid card chase? He might have given you a doll that has already been used. A doll is not even that pretty. His fat and annoying voice, which made her cry even more, as his crinkle grin made her lip curl, as her arm painted from the polymetric and absurd stretch in the air. She became exhausted from his jumping and reaching to get the doll, but no. Well, it was almost like a panic attack as she was not used to having many things in her life alone and completely adored that doll with all her heart because of being the only unharmed piece. Seeing it being misused was horrifying because not only was it her doll, it was even supposed to person she could talk to, while no one else cared for her feelings. All of a sudden, she fell on the sand because of jumping a lot, hurting her chin in the process, causing a small bruises to adorn her pale skin. She hissed and whimpered to herself, not liking the feeling of a paining jaw, and clutched the affected part of her soul, like, just please give it to me. Her trembling voice broke in a crack as she was more emotional than the normal wolves, hating the fact that she was not at all used to what the other kids were because of a lack of protection. The pain was unbearable, and the boys just continued to laugh as still tried to jump to get her doll back, insensitive to her even in her injured state. Why don't you leave this doll to us? We could use it to play when we throw things in the garbage bin. His friend laughed even more after those words, given her an evil smile, and she looked up at them and gave up, knowing she was never going to win because of the past occurrence. Just like how other kids would bully her, she took one last glance at the doll, sniffing and scratching her nose in a sadness before walking toward a nearby tree. Sitting there was all alone, watching to fend for her miserable and anxiety while all those boys ran away with her only doll with her small giggles. It hurts, oh, she exclaimed with her yet another hiss after touching her chin's mane, feeling the tissue harden in a mere second, making her eyes wide, and she sat there already in a pool of her tears for the third time of the day, with no one in the playground anymore. I don't have anything else to play with, she trailed off quickly while having a small hiccup emerge from her throat, and she hugged her knees to herself in an attempt to calm herself down. Then she heard footsteps coming near her and thought of herself, bet those kids come back to bully me more. She refused the thought of looking up and kept hiccuping in her arm while hugging her knees, not at all interested to hear yet another degrading comments on her being as a whole. She feels a slight tap on her shoulder, which was not at all harmful in a way, and look up slowly and hesitation only to see a slighter, older looking boy. Thankfully, he was not among those boys who bullied her. He has a luscious brown hair and powerful blue eyes that were very weak kisses that stared down at her with a curious glint, and she stared to see the beauty he marvelous possessed. She was infuriated by his persona too, as it was not threatening like the other person she would normally encounter in her home pack. Subconsciously registering his young face and chewed on the inside of her chicken though. His eyes are so pretty, why can't my brown eyes are blue? Your eyes are beautiful. They are just look like chocolate, my favorite snack, the boy murmured confidently while flashing a toothy smile at her while she looked at him wide eyes as an elitated response trying to process what he was saying. This was the first ever time someone said something nice to her in a probably year. It was not natural for her to believe that easily. Thank you, or she cried out loudly, accidentally trying to play it cool with the first normal encounter with the opposite sex, but she was frustrated with her chin at the point clicking her lips at her embarrassment. "What's wrong? Are you hurt?" he asked casually while leaning down at the tree to sit next to her, making sure she was comfortable enough with the distance he offered. "It's nothing, I just have a small boo boo on my chin," she murmured, not knowing what word to use properly as she was not that educated with the nature vocabulary. Other kids of her age were knowledge with working with whatever her brain could muster while pointing at her chin, which had already become swollen and red. The young boy squinted his perfect eyes at her, squinching the world deliberately before falling. "I saw some boys running toward the street outside. Did they hurt you?" he asked suspectfully, showing the first bit of concern for to little Yuna, as she was not used to being questioned like this, and fidgeted with her finger. "They did not do anything. I only hurt myself," she whispered incoherently, trying to conceal what happened to her in the past few minutes like she normally would. She was always like this, either always taking the blame or hiding someone's mistakes. "He does not have to know. I probably look ugly." "That's what the boy told me." Yuna blinked back her tears and looked down, reiterating all those times when boys and girls from the playground would call her name ugly, cry brat, poop head, and many more. She was about to cry again but resisted the urge of recouping those recollections and stay out. "I like your face, it's cute," he complimented while leaning back on his rested hand on her grounds, secretly moving a little closer to her with a small amusing grin as she looked at him like he grew two heads. "Why would anyone call me cute? I thought I was ugly." "Cute? I'm not cute. Everyone call me ugly." She confused while signing deeply and looked back at the monkey bar with tucked to her hearts. "I honestly think you are really pretty, though," he admittedly precisely while making her look at him by gently moving her jaw to face him properly with a small touch of his welcoming finger. And she did not flinch like she normally would and just looked at the masterpiece in awe. They both stared at each other invincibly about becoming lost in each other's eyes about for about 2 good minutes, and she looked for truth in his eyes, and he looked for something she could not describe properly before he broke the roaring silence and cleared his throat. "What's your name?" "My name is Yuna," she replied gingerly. "Hi Yuna, I'm Tehong." He chippered while stretching out his arm for a handshake, and Yuna looked at his hand for a few seconds suspensely before having a good handshake and his firm grip. She then claimed his hand even further just to see his hand were double of size of her hand, causing her eyes to twinkle in amusement. "Why are your hands bigger than mine? My hands are tiny." "That's because I am probably older than you, silly," he exclaimed while chuckling a bit, making her heart flutter as someone decided to be nice to her for once. "Wow, his laugh sounds so amazing. He's so cute." She thinks at the back of her mind while giggling to herself and indulging his head, admiring his laugh. "You should laugh more, Yuna. It's adorable." "Wow, no one ever said to me before," she whispered very quietly before finishing with her breast, this time quietly enough to make sure he did not hear it. "People should say that more," he mumbled with a grumble. What she murmured out, what he brought back, making them just stare at each other for a second time in a second and then start to laugh together at how random that sounded. "How old are you, Tete?" he asked delightfully while grinning. "It's my nickname for you," she clubbed while blushing, not knowing if he was okay with being called that or not. "That's great, call me that only. I'm 12. What about you?" Tehun found this little confusing, seeing a merle 9-year-old act even more innocent, like a younger child than the kid of that age would be, trying to figure whether her environment was perfectly good enough or not, but instead brightened his eye in a college and nodded. "You are baby, I'm not. I'm a big girl," she stated proudly while huffing happily, being casual with him because of the sudden benevolence. "Well then, you are my baby," he cooed while putting his warm arm around her shoulder, and she just giggled in response at the choice of his word, cheering up her instantly, and he looked at her in enlightenment. She could feel how warm he was through a small touch, and it automatically brightened her mood for an apparent reason she could not understand. "I saw you crying when I came here. Why are you crying?" he suddenly interrupted with a serious voice, completely changing his tone in the process. Yuna stopped smiling and looked down at the ground with a small pout and bite her lips. It was just a painful when I'm hurt my chin, that's why I'm crying. Tell me the truth. Why were you crying, Yuna? He asked with a wanted answer from him, flashing something yellow in his pool making her debate in her mind. The playful atmosphere goes and almost intense, and he sit up with his back straight and a formal response. I'm telling the truth. She trailed off again, and while Taehyung gave her that look, clearly not believing her, causing her to huff. Okay, fine. These boys were so earlier took my doll away. It was the only toy I had, and they not letting me play with it anymore, and they ran away. She explained properly while looking away, expecting a mean comments on her again, but got none in the end. You mean this doll? He smiled while taking out the doll from his bag, which was he hiding all along while talking to her. As soon as Yuna looked at her, her brown eyes literally twinkled with joy. How did you get this? She squealed while Tana gave her the doll and chuckled happily as she then hugged the doll like it was the last thing she could do. And Tana then think to himself, hey, what are you doing? Tana asked abruptly as the boy walked past him during his walk. What does it look like? We are playing idiot. They look like dumb hormonal kids who does not even know to act well. He scoffed in his mind. Damn right, his wolf he added. Tehan was naturally a mature boy at a very young age, all thanks to his father, who would teach him every day about how to function in the real world, finding his impulsive behavior as a derogatory. That doll does not look like it's belonged to you, he announced obvious while keeping his face straight and cross his arms. That's because it's not mine. We stole it from the girl back there. Does not she look like pathetic? She's so annoying. He snored while laughing, making Teona eyes travel to the lonely girl while hugging herself before turning his thin line up a distancing his. Help her now, we ordered at the back of his mind, making something click in his body, and he looked back at the ridiculous boss before sending give the doll back to her, Tehan commanded. But the boy did little to take him seriously, and he was getting a headache by now because of their extravagant behavior, making his lips twitch. No way, she does not deserve the doll. She way too ugly to have it. Arnold nailed squeezing the doll in his hand with no mercy, almost tearing it with his nails. This made Turner sign calmly he again but inwardly he was furious with his ball. Give that doll to me, puff, as if this is mine. I said, give that doll to me, he asked softly, with a voice deeper than usual, causing some boy to fawn at him. No, Limbran, or an exclaim out, laughing harder, tickling off their patience. Devon growled angrily while threatening tone, making the laughter of the boys stop in a millisecond before hearing audible club emitting from them in a reaction. All the while looked at the Tehong with a scared eyes and Oren looked scared too for once, not appealing to a sudden change in his iris. Tana blue eyes were turning yellow very quickly, showcasing his wolf, and then soaked the blues even more. He raised out his hand and tightened curl to his finger toward him and spoke with the perfect word. Give it to now. He ordered them one last time. Yes, Alpha, Aaron whispered, giving the doll to him and running away, feeling paranoid with the newly Alpha person he had earned lately, even though he was not Alpha yet. He smirked at them while dusting the doll, watching them to run away from will fight and look back at the girl with determined expression. Next, feeling we relax again shortly afterward. Head toward the playground. Who knew the ball ground can make a bunch of bullies run away in an instant, and or should I say, the call of the werewolf god. I asked them to give it to me, and they gave it to me. Oh, that's amazing! I have my doll back. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yuna cheered with excitement after it reuniting with her toy in a contentment. She faced him with a big fat smile and threw herself on him, hugging him very tightly as a small thank you, earning a small chuckle from him. Tana quickly wrapped his arm around her pretty figure and hugged her back as tightly as she did, and growing the other unusual goodness, filling his veins with a howling wolf in his mind with satisfaction. Her amazing scents were intoxicating his nostrils and making him feel warmer than before and reddened his cheeks slightly. She nuzzled her head into the side of his neck and giggled, feeling safe for the first time in her life and stayed there. Her breath was tickling his skin, making him pull her closer with the sudden possessiveness simmering in his blood, and she invented his embrace with open heart. He did not want to let her go all of the sudden and did not find it necessary either to feel this way. He realized how perfectly her body stuck to his, how her soft hand clutched his white t-shirt, and how her hair smelled like roses and her voice was sweet melody causing an infuriating to his drum. He wanted to keep her in his arm forever, never letting her go, never letting anyone to hurt her again, never letting anyone make her cry again, never letting anyone to take her happiness away again. He could not think straight. He did not know why he would feel like this. He never even felt enough to touch a girl like this before, but not let hold her for a last few minutes. He had before sadly leaving, having to go away. Yuna signed with a soft exhale and sat on her lap for a few minutes in the same position for as long as she could remember. She found it very strange to be hugging a person she just met, but it felt so right, like it was this time she homed in peace, and Tana played with her hair to make her feel cozy, succeeding with flying colors. While she was on his lap, Tana began to rock his leg, making her rock as well while she cuddled him, just like how his mother would do his sibling when it's their nap time there. This made her feel at home after so many years. She did not have an actual home as her parents abandoned her at the age of 6, but she was finally happy for once. Tana rocked her until she fell asleep in his arm with her doll in minutes of never-ending bells, breathing in a perfect sequence and taking in his sense, his warmth from his body and relaxed completely. He leaned into the tree and saw the sun setting behind this building near the park and gave her a kiss on the forehead. Mine.